I'd like to welcome you back to the channel, and I have a really close friend of mine with me here today. His name is Danny. Danny is the co-founder of the group Eulogist. He is the guitar player and he is a songwriter, and Eulogist is basically a blackened death metal group. Now,
yes.
Can you explain to us, for those of us that don't know what blackened death metal group is, what that means?
Well, it's basically a narrowed down subgenre of the extreme metal underground world, and most people who know this genre would get it right away, and these days there are many subgenres. So the way we describe ourselves is basically kind of two subgenres mixed together, death metal and black metal together. Some bands play straight up death metal, some bands play straight up black metal, and of course on and on. However, I can explain what those two subgenres are, but we are a combination of that. And
What are those genres? Please explain.
so death metal kind of originated in the late 80s, early 90s, I would say in America. I mean, all this music is definitely universal, but a lot of it originated in America. It's more of a heavier, extreme heavier, lower growl type of vocals, subgenre of metal, extreme metal. And black metal is more of a European origination, and they're more on the melodic side with higher screech type of vocals. And we kind of, do a combination of both. We try to do it in a way where it's our own unique sound, of course, and there are other listeners who might listen to us and say we sound like this, and it's not true, but we kind of pull ourselves in that genre, and
Understood.
it's pretty simple, and if you're it's pretty simplistic in this world. So
Understood. Sounds like you're very passionate about it.
yeah, no, I don't think I've met anyone who's not passionate about this music if they're playing it.
Right, that makes sense.
So
what do you got? You have some stuff up your sleeve. You have some stuff coming up. You got some stuff that you're pretty well known for. Let's hear a little bit about that.
I mean, maybe a couple local New York bands were well known, but
That's something.
it's something. So we, I'll give you a quick summary. We started many years ago. Myself and my friend, both guitar players, amateur guitar players. Not that I'm that great, whatever, we're all humble, but we started writing music together, playing, got other musicians together. About 2.5 years ago, he passed away, and it was quite a journey to find good members, and now we have great members, 5-piece band, and we released our original self-titled EP about 1.5 years ago, maybe a little less. I think there's 6 songs on it. That's on YouTube. It's self-titled Eulogist.
Wow.
Eulogist. And we recently released a single, which is going to be part of our upcoming full album. So that single is also out there, YouTube, wherever.
You got a name for your full album yet?
Yes. So the single is called Premature Expiration, released a few months ago.
Cool.
And the name of the full album will be Orchestrated Suffering, coming out some point this summer.
Nice.
The fans will know. Our 10 fans will know when it's out, when we have a release date.
How big is the industry, and how big are you in the industry?
So the industry is huge, but it's huge underground, and it's universal. I mean, you can go to France, you can go to Poland, you can go to Russia, you can go to any country, and you'll find an underground scene with metalheads, and I'm sure anyone listening and who knows this type of music can relate. We're a small, microscopic band from New York, and we're definitely not big, and there are bands that, you know, originate from underground that become more popular, and those bands have a career, and it takes them many, many years to do that. They tour a lot and put an album out every 2-3 years, you know, professionally, signed by a label. So we're way behind that, and
You got that.
that's fine.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what drew you to this?
You know, it starts in high school or elementary school. You like certain type of music. You know, you hear some rock, you like it. You know, then you get into a little more extreme. You hear some Metallica, you're like, ooh, what's this? Then you hear some Iron Maiden and some Sabbath and some Priest and some Pantera, and then some Slayer, and then some more extreme music. So with me, you know, it started, I would say, in high school. You know, I always like, you know, riff guitar oriented music with, you know, masculine vocals, if you want to call it. You know, you start listening, you get into these bands, you discover these bands, you discover their better music as opposed to their not better music, and you know, and then sometimes you just need more. You know, there's a certain point where, you know, you get into these, you know, average commercial bands that most people know,
Right.
and some not so commercial, of course, and then you want something, you know, more extreme and something, you know, to bite into. And some when I was younger, like friends who weren't metalheads told me, you'll grow out of it, and now they look at me and they think I'm still crazy. So
It sounds almost like an addiction. Like you start with a certain level of music, and then you want something stronger and stronger.
I wouldn't go far to say it's an addiction, because an addiction, you really can't help yourself.
But the
you know?
taste of it.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, I can only speak for myself. Like, I don't like every death metal or black metal or band that I hear. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not saying I'm like that picky, but I pick and choose what I really like, and I stick my teeth into these bands, and I, you know, try to get tastes of their albums and their discography and stuff like that, and see them live when I can. And you know, that's what I've been doing for many years with my friends, and you know, most of my friends have been doing that. And whatever, you know, everybody has their own, you know, taste and subgenre that they
Understood.
like, and et cetera, et cetera.
Understood. So, because I mean, I love Metallica and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I guess what's interesting, you know, like we were talking about before we put the camera on, is that there's it seems almost like death metal heads, if I can call it that, are wired a little
Metalheads.
differently. Yeah, but you see, like,
Yeah, there's a difference between the average heavy metal listener
right,
and the guys who listen to underground extreme metal, whatever
Right.
subgenre it is. You know,
but it
doesn't
seems
matter.
almost like a lifestyle. Like you
Yes.
can listen to Metallica like somebody would listen to, may I say, Eminem or
That's
something
right,
like that,
absolutely.
and then you shut the music, and then you know you go on with your day, as opposed to, like I was telling you earlier, that for you it's almost like a lifestyle. It's something more than I think the regular music listener of other genres.
Oh yeah, for the underground scene, universally it's a culture. There's no question about that. I mean, you go to a festival anywhere, it's like you can just make friends with anybody. I mean, I took my son to see Iron Maiden this past year in New York, and my son, you know, not a metalhead. It's fine. I love my son, obviously.
You still love
I
him
don't
regardless.
force it down anyone's throat. But you know, he's like, everyone's so nice here. All the people are so nice. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you can go to a club and people are just not that nice. You know, they want to go there for other reasons. You go to a metal show, it's like you're with family, no matter what.
Like a brotherhood.
Yeah. So it's definitely a culture. Now, I don't listen to music constantly all day. Some people are wired differently. I can't. I have to really take my time with certain bands that if I get into them, or if they put out new music, like I really like. That's me personally. Some people can just blast it in the background, and that's it. You know. So Yeah, we're different than your casual music listeners. I would definitely say that. No question about it. Hope that was a good answer.
Back in the day, somebody stood for a certain type of music. You weren't allowed to like pop and rap and heavy metal. If you had one, that's who you were. And it seems like this cliche still lives on with death metal. That if you're in that, that's it. Like I was gonna say, you know, can you theoretically be accepted if you like the kind of music you like, and then you also like Paul Abdul or Britney
from the 80s.
Spears?
Okay, yeah.
You know, Britney Spears.
That's a
that
good
would
question.
be awkward, right?
So I think that narrows it down to the individual who's judging you. Like, I'll be honest, I don't have many metalhead friends who listen to, you know, rap or, you know, pop or, you know, Taylor Swift or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it goes vice versa, you know, people who listen to that don't really like turn on, I don't know, Cannibal Corpse or, you know what I'm saying? Or anything extreme out there, suffocation, immolation, or
many other
death.
groups I've never heard of.
Exactly. So there you go. So, you know, it works both ways. Is there a judgmental aspect to it? I think every human is judgmental to a certain point, you know.
That's fair. I'll tell you what it is, right? On the one hand, you're talking about this brotherhood and camaraderie, but on the other hand, it's almost like, see, I keep referring back to the way things used to be. Like, it used to be you only liked a certain type of music. It used to be things were a certain way. And when you have a camaraderie of a certain type, but you're not allowed to cross certain borders, now you're talking about old school. Now you're talking about the 80s, the 90s, the way things would be.
So I was a kid.
And that's what I'm hearing.
Right. So, okay, I'm definitely younger than you. I grew up in the 90s.
For sure.
I can say one thing that I'm familiar with about that. Back then, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the extreme metal was starting to come out, you know, in the late 80s, early 90s, right? Mm-hmm. Back then, you had a lot of hair metal, which doesn't exist today, you know? And you had a lot of subgenres then, which
like
don't
Bon
really...
Jovi, Motley Crue, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like these, whatever, from LA, these bands. And then,
like love song, heavy metal.
Exactly.
Kind of stuff.
And then Metallica came around and rebelled against that scene. They crushed it. And then you had Slayer, and then you had Megadeth, and you had a lot of these thrash bands, Testament, you know, come out and change that and, you know, take that away from that LA scene, I guess, or whatever those bands are. I think the majority of those bands are not active and don't exist today. I mean, you go to a Motley Crue show, if there is one, I don't think you see any fans that are like 15, 19, 20.
Right.
You see guys in their 40s. You go to an Iron Maiden show, who's a different genre, you see a bunch of kids. It was a different world then, and it's a different world now in terms of the
But it sounds like you guys have old school values where there's a camaraderie, but there's an understanding that we stand for what we stand for, and we don't go for something just because that's what the public says we should all accept each other, but we do it by our own standards, I guess is...
Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of bands in our category are like that because we're doing it because we love it. We're not doing it to make a living, you know, and that would be very difficult to do that right now for most of us musicians.
Come on.
I mean, you really gotta push and tour, and that's not something we're relying on, obviously, or willing to do. Right. At the moment, we're doing it because we love it, and I think most bands, even the bands that are doing it 20, 30 years that are in our category that, you know, do have a career, I think they also do it more because they love it, you know, and not because they're making the most fabulous living, you know. So, yeah.
What are your goals?
I appreciate where we are today. You know, we have, like I said earlier, good band members, good people, and that's really what counts. And obviously, we're all, you know, on the same page with the music. My goal is to just, you know, forge ahead and put out good music, work on the music, and, you know, play live as much, you know, I wouldn't say as much as we can, but, you know, play live here and there. Things happen, take it as it goes, honestly. Like, you know, fair. I think the band members, we all agree, some members, you know, can't tour like immediately. Like if someone else give us a tour offer tomorrow, chances are it's not going to happen. Who knows what the future holds? I don't know. You know,
I gotcha.
The main focus is the music, putting out good music
And
enjoying that, and that's it. And
I gotcha.
let people enjoy it too, hopefully.
Thank you so much, brother.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I just want to say before we sign off that this idea of taping during dusk, this was Danny's idea so that we could fade out. And so I just want to thank you. It was a pleasure. We'll see you on the next one.